Matikela, welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about Meyiwa case and let's look at what the accused are actually charged with because it actually matters, okay? You will hear why I'm doing this. Before we do that, guys, please make sure you do not forget to like, to share, to comment, and most importantly, please make sure you are subscribed on the channel. Please make sure you are watching the videos up until the end and you are watching the ads that are coming through. When you are doing that, you'll be supporting this channel financially and in numbers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Now, let's get into this matter. So, these are serious charges that they are accused of, okay? Murder, robbery with aggravating circumstances, unlawful possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of ammunition, attempted murder. So, the state must prove participation, common purpose, knowledge, intent, a causal link between the accused and the crime. Cell phone evidence is not a charge, okay? It is only a tool and only works if it proves one of these elements, okay? So if it doesn't prove them, it's not going to assist in any way, all right? Second point that I want us to talk about on this video, what Advocate Baloyi is trying to prove with the cell phone evidence. Let's check that, okay? Baloyi's cell phone narrative is aimed at three things. A, the person was legally represented. B, there was a communication between accused persons. C, that communication implies coordination or conspiracy. The problem when it comes to all of this, none of these automatically prove criminal liability. None. The third point that I want us to look at, the mandate problem. This is a fatal wound for the state case. That is why you see Baloyi spent 5 days trying to prove something, but he proved nothing. Okay? For the cell phone evidence to work, the state must prove a mandate. Who instructed a lawyer for Ndanzi? When? How? On whose authority? Paid by whom? What the state does not have, no signed mandate, no proof of authority, no proof of payment, no proof that a caller was authorized to act. None of that. That is why we spent the entire week on nothing. Trying to pin the mandate on Ndanzi's sister fails unless the state proves she had authority, she signed a mandate, she received a number, the number lawfully. She acted on instructions from the accused. Do you understand? Phone calls is not a legal mandate. Phone calls must prove direct link, which Baloyi is failing to do that. Point number 4, common contact. He kept saying common contact. Common contact is not common purpose. Can't be, never was, never will be. This is one of the weakest state arguments ever, Kesana. This is one of their weakest statements ever, Kesana. I think I'm going to explain it perfectly. I can have your number, you can have mine, right? That does not make us friends, let alone co-conspirators. It can't. Legally, shared contacts do not prove knowledge. Calls do not prove intent. Numbers do not prove association. Association does not prove participation. The Constitutional Court has been very clear. Suspicion is not evidence. Baloyi knows all of these things, Kesan. He knows all of them. Oh, he knows them. Point number 5 that I want to talk about, the accused number, the accused number 5, phone number disaster. That's another issue. It's been a disaster since Rose. This is devastating for the state. The phone number was wrongly attributed to Lungsani. To number 5. Phofu, it belonged to Lungsani. The state later considered it's not number 5's phone. There is no correction that recused the chain of evidence. None. Okay? Once the identity of a phone collapses, everything linked to it collapses. Tower data, call logs, inferred movement, alleged coordination. That evidence becomes legally contaminated because first you lied and said it's number 5's phone, whereas it's Lungisani's phone. Point number 6, cell tower evidence used incorrectly. Also, this one, I think I was on point when this, I've nailed it. Tower data must show presence at the crime scene at the relevant time with consistency. What the state is doing instead, showing movement while someone was traveling, showing passing signals, showing unrelated location pings. That does not prove participation, presence, or planning. Luto. You can't say he passed through the area and call it proof. You can't do that. Point number 7, why missing witnesses destroy the state theory. This is very critical. Why are certain people never brought to court? If the state relies on a call, a mandate, a visit, a registration, an OB entry, then the person who allegedly did those things must testify. No witness is equal to no verification, which means equal to hearsay dressed as evidence. Why are they not calling Mjiako to come and speak for himself? Why didn't they call Mjiako? Why is the court not calling Mjiako? Do you understand now? Also, point number 8, which is the bottom line, then we are done. Baloyi wanted versus what Baloyi wanted versus what Baloyi got. Ne? Let's look at what Baloyi wanted. A neat cell phone narrative, a web of connections, an implied conspiracy. Those are the things that Baloyi wanted. But what actually emerged was no mandate, no authority, no proven association, wrong phone attribution, weak tower data, missing witnesses, broken chain of evidence. That's what he got. Do you see why I say he spent 5 days full trying to prove nonsense and he still proved nothing? Now, let's deal with the final point. Cell phone evidence does not convict people. Only credible, corroborated, lawful evidence does. And here, it's not cooking. If you want, I can help you further understand all of this. Please make sure that you watch, you share, you comment, you subscribe, and most importantly, I'm a super thanks. Support the channel by all means necessary. I'll see you at our next video. Tell me, what are your thoughts when it comes to this? Because wow, oh my God, a so-called black excellence failing during the people badly like that. Imagine that. Bye.